Hello, hello, hello. It's a new moon, which means that we have a live stream date. Hopefully, I'll be on for about roughly an hour. I'll be talking to you guys about some updates, some changes, and then, hey, Ashley, hey. And then I'm going to be doing mini readings. And because it's a new moon in Leo, I have a lot of cat themes, tarot deck, oracle decks. One of them was actually recently sent to me by Ashley, yeah, who's in the chat right now. I think it's just you and me, Ashley. I think we're just going to have like a private live stream session. Oh, Penny's here. Hi, Penny. So I have a lot of decks that actually celebrate cats. As you guys know, Leo is the big cat, the feline of the zodiac, and this is the energy under which we currently find ourselves. Ashley, of course you like it because you're a Scorpio. You like one-on-one interactions more than group settings. And me too, to be honest, me too. That's why I gave up teaching, because speaking with 200, sometimes more than 200 eager eyes was very difficult for me. Yes, I cannot wait to use this deck. I've actually used it in a mini reading on Instagram. So if you guys have Instagram and you want to follow me there, I've been quite consistent in the last period with uploading pick a card readings there. So if you want more cat content, book recommendations, glimpses into my personal life, as much as it is at the moment, then feel free to follow me on Instagram. Now, some updates. You guys noticed that I changed some of the banners, and I even changed the avatar that I have on the Spiritual Social. Part of the reason why I'm changing them so often is because a lot of people copy my channel. They make these fake accounts with my name, with my identity. So it's a lot of identity theft, and YouTube doesn't regulate that, unfortunately. So I am changing a lot of things, what I can. I want to change my logo as well, but I like it so much. And I'm going to struggle to come up with a prettier one, I think, in this period. Hi, Nina. You're watching me while at work. Oh, okay. I hope I am safe for work. Okay. I think I have some decks over here, like this one. This one is clearly safe for work. Not sure if it's safe for your pets. I have here the Animal Spirit Oracle. And also to celebrate animals, we have here the Spirit Song Tarot. It's a bit weird because I'm seeing myself mirrored by the live stream. So I have to see in which, how do I hold these up so that the light catches them. Yeah, so I kind of organized my setup a little bit. I have a lamp over here. Ooh, to make the atmosphere a bit brighter than the last time. And yeah, I was just talking about updates. It seems like the only channels that are growing for me are the Spiritual Cosmos and Lexi Games. The Spiritual Social seems to constantly be on a downhill slope. And also the Eden nearby is pretty stagnant. But I think this is normally the trend that we see in the collective at the moment, because ever since Neptune walked out of Pisces, we will generally see a lessening of the enthusiasm for tarot, crystals, magic. People are at the moment riddled with conflict, with harsh economical penalties, changes, restrictions, limitations. And you can even see it outside. You walk outside and people are so harsh. There's this harsh, tough, rough energy, you know. It's like a fight for survival. And it's pretty, I don't know. I think that if it continues in this way, it will turn very toxic in a couple of years. But from what I can see, astrologically speaking, it's not going to continue like this. It's just this year and the next one, because we're going through a lot of changes. A lot of planets are shifting signs. We need to adapt to this energy. We're also adapting to the climate crisis. it's like it's so hot outside, so of course people are going to be feeling angry because they are thirsty and tired. And I noticed a couple of days ago that because we've been living under this oven weather for a while now in Bucharest, I've been having these little red dots on my skin, and they itch, and I kind of, if I scratch them, they kind of leave a little bit of a mark. And I first thought that I got like some sort of infection with the bacteria, like a strep infection, like a strep virus. Because I went to the countryside and I traveled with trains, and trains in Romania are not at all clean. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, it's because I traveled and I got something from my travels. But in reality, I was doing some research, and apparently you can get like all sorts of like red spots on the skin from thermic shock. Like if your skin is kept under extreme frost or extreme heat, you get these kind of like tiny things that appear, tiny red dots on your skin. So yeah, it's the heat is not to be underestimated, especially when it's keeping us under these hot conditions for a prolonged period of time. It's really changing. It's changing the way the body reacts. It's like the immune system is constantly awake and it's fighting. I feel like my immune system is constantly fighting the environment at the moment. So in the last week, as the energy of the moon has been waning, leading to the dark moon point, to the balsamic moon, so that the moon can refresh itself, I've been very much imposing rest on myself. I've been just engaged in low effort activities. Literally, I've been just focused on getting enough sleep, eating, uh, making sure I'm clean, making sure my cats are well fed and everything is fine with them, and not doing much, like only going outside after 7 p.m. at night, and like trying to do a couple of things in the morning, and mostly resting throughout the middle of the day, like just playing computer games or reading, and writing things, planning, designing banners. That's what I've been doing. Because I noticed a weird trend. I don't know if this happens to you guys, but I've lately been working a lot when the energy of the moon has been waning, and I've been really tired when the energy of the moon has been waxing, right, as it was growing. So waning, it's when it's lessening, and waxing, it's when it's growing. And it's bad, if we are to see it in this extremes. But I'm sharing this with you guys because it may help you as well in terms of how you use lunar energy. Maybe I don't know if you guys can hear me well. But normally it's best if you do a lot of things when the energy of the moon is growing, from new moon to full moon. That is the span of 2 weeks. It's not that much. But in those 2 weeks, it's really good if you can like begin a lot of new things. If you want to begin a new diet, or if you want to go and see a doctor, if you want to get some beauty treatments, if you are meeting new people, if you are launching new projects, if you are beginning something, like you need to begin a writing project, those are times when you should definitely go ahead and just start, launch, begin, because the energy supports you. Yeah, so that those should be two high-powered weeks of intense energy and pushing yourself to do something that is good for you and for those around you. And then you get to kind of slow down a little bit and do low effort things, or things that required cleaning, cleansing, letting go, releasing. You should, for example, pay your rent in that period, so that you shouldn't pay your rent necessarily when the energy is growing, but you should pay it when the energy of the moon is lessening, so that you will gradually pay less and less, right? So you don't grow in excessive money going out of your account. Also, like the phases of the moon, when the moon is growing, they're excellent for opening up a savings account, for budgeting, for putting some money to the side so that it grows, gradually in time. So you want to do things that you want to do less of in time, in the period when the full moon is decreasing all the way until it becomes new. And you want to get rid of a lot of things. You want to break up with people, you want to like clean the house, you want to, like, in the last days I forced myself not to launch a lot of the ideas I was having. I was just writing them down, creating banners, putting them to the side, but I forced myself not to do a lot of work. And what I did was I cleaned up through a lot of the things in my household. Like, I reorganized my extensive collection of tarot and oracle cards. I cleaned through my books. I cleaned through my clothes, my wardrobe. I washed my entire wardrobe. It really needed to be cleansed also because I was afraid that, because I went to the countryside to visit some relatives on this 4-day trip that I took to Transylvania, I touched some animals, and I saw in my hotel room that there were a couple of fleas attached to my shoes, and I freaked out. And because I have cats, and I was afraid that I may bring with me some fleas from the countryside to Bucharest. So I kind of washed myself, and I cleansed as much as I could the hotel room. I told the hotel staff as well to help me out. And when I came here, I was a little bit obsessed with cleaning, because the problem with fleas is that they can carry inherent diseases. So that's why I'm a little bit worried about health lately, because Saturn is currently in my 6th house. And if you have any planets in the 6th house, I need to remember to watch the camera, guys. Sorry, I'm just watching the chat. If you have any planets in the 6th house, I'm sure that you're aware of anything related to health, because your life tends to revolve around that. So I have my North Node and my Jupiter in the 6th house, which means I tend to have a lot of problems with my health because Jupiter exaggerates. But I also get rid of these problems very quickly. I find good doctors, I find cheap treatments. Thank God I live in a country in which I don't have to pay so much for good healthcare. And yeah, for that reason, I'm really lucky. But Saturn right now in the 6th house is getting me to reconsider, reorganize. It's bringing up these fears to the surface. It's like, am I really that healthy as I think I am? I've been visiting a lot of doctors since my father died, both to treat myself emotionally, but also physically as well, because I've been having these weird pains all over my body. Nobody tells you this, but once a family member dies, even though you may not have been close to them, it's like, I don't know what happens, but I think our cells know that the organism that has created you is dead. And all of a sudden, your cells reorganize. And it's like your body freaks out. Because, we're like 50% genetic material from our mother, 50% genetic material from our father. And obviously, our personality, our consciousness can be very different than that of our parents, and it should be very different. I think that's a healthy approach to life. If you get what is good from your parents mentally and philosophically and emotionally speaking, but you also struggle to create your own identity, that's the important thing. So that you don't live so much under their unconscious values, and you end up repeating a lot of the problems that have been passed down generation to generation. And the thing is that we do have this genetic link to them. We are biologically part of them, organisms that came out of them. So I do think that there is something creepy going on there, like creepy in the best possible way. Because, my father died when Jupiter was transiting through my 8th house. And the 8th house is the house of magic, hidden things, the occult, healing, spiritual, painful experiences. It's like you have to go through pain to meet God. It's also considered to be the hidden house of the zodiac, because when you look at the way in which the zodiac is divided, the ascendant is over here and the 8th house is over here. And a lot of astrologers consider that you can't see the 8th house from the ascendant. It creates a really blind angle. And that's why it's considered to be the spooky house of the zodiac, because you don't know what you're going to get. it's like a door in the attic that you can't open. It's like a basement that you are afraid to go down into because it's so dark and nobody's been there for ages. But if you're brave enough, if you go downstairs and clean the basement, if you finally find the key and open the attic, you may find a lot of cobwebs and dirt and filth, but you could also find family heirlooms. You could find important data about who you are. And that's why the eighth house is so important. And during this transit of Jupiter through the eighth house, I lost my father. The last time when I had a significant transit to this house, I also lost my husband because I got a divorce. But at the same time as I was losing a family member, a sum of money was coming towards me, because it's also the house of karma, of what you owe and what is owed to you. That's why it's also considered to be the house of taxes, you know. So, for example, when I lost my husband through divorce, Jupiter in the eighth gave me a PhD scholarship. And I had to put very little effort. Actually, my supervisor applied on my behalf because she really saw my potential. She really loved what I did with my master's dissertation. I put a lot of effort into it. I was super fascinated by what I was doing, and she really loved that. She saw I had research potential. She applied on my behalf. She didn't tell me. I got the scholarship, and she just came with the paperwork and said, "Here, you have a scholarship. Stay in Scotland and do a PhD. You're good." And yeah, so sometimes eighth house situations happen like this. You know, you lose a family member, you get an inheritance, or something happens that you, for example, you manage to cure an addiction, and then all of a sudden you end up treating people that suffer from the same addiction that you had. With my father, it wasn't necessarily that I received a sum of money, because my father, unfortunately, he wasn't very good at being a provider at all. Like, I never saw money from my dad. The only money that came to me was like indirectly, because, for example, I was able to live in a house with him and we had food occasionally, not all the time. So that was the security that my father brought. But he was never like you hear of other fathers that can help you like buy a house or buy a car for their children, or, you know, they're very good with investments or very good with saving up from a young age. My father was never like that. And I never had this model of a man that provides for you. I never grew up with that. So for me, this whole idea of the man is the protector, the man is the provider, is such bullshit. I never experienced it. The woman is the protector, the woman is the organizer, the woman is the one I see, I imbue with authority and I respect. As a consequence, also life placed me in situations in which mostly women were my bosses. And I had issues with them, and others were incredibly good for me and they helped me. They built up my confidence. So yeah, I've ever since I was young, I kind of grew up with this idea of, you know, listening to women, respecting women, trusting women's authority, trusting their intelligence, relying on them, going to them when I had problems. They helped me from domestic abuse situations. They helped me with housing, with work, with life advice. So yeah, I don't know why I got into this, but I think that, you know, Leo women, Leo sun women and Taurus sun women are some of the strongest, toughest, most unbreakable women of the zodiac. Also because they are fixed, you know, fixed earth and fixed fire. And I was reflecting on my relationship to my grandmother, who was a Leo sun, and her name very aptly was Cleopatra. I really like the short form of Cleopatra. Cleo is such a beautiful name. But yeah, Cleopatra sounds very bombastic. But yeah, she would actually celebrate her birthday on the 30th of July, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I always get the dates wrong. I always need to ask mom. But I took this trip to Transylvania to visit my aunt, my cousin, my great uncle, and to visit her grave and the grave of my great aunt and my great great grandfather. And my great grandfather was like, he was a force to reckon with as well. I'm really sad I didn't get to meet like really strong male representatives in my family, because we had a couple of really imposing men in my family, and unfortunately I didn't get to meet them. I do think that I had a couple of years with him, if I'm not mistaken. Wait, I'm lying. Yeah, I had a couple of years with him when I was very little, but I remember very, very few things. It's so strange because, I'm a South Node in Libra and a North Node in Aries. And maybe you identify with this if you have these placements in your chart, or if you have any placements in Libra and Aries. When I was little, there were so many people, like friends, neighbors, relatives, uncles, aunts, godfathers, godmothers, so many people. Like, I felt suffocated. I remember being passed around at the party, and people were just like cuddling me and kissing me and leaving their lipstick stains on my cheeks. And I was like, ugh, disgusting. And I just wanted to play. Um, and yeah, I was also one of the firstborn children in kind of this region where I grew up in Bucharest. So that's why I was like, the holy child. So a lot of attention, but suffocation, a lot of having to live up to other people's expectations. Libra vibes, right? A lot of people, superficial relationships with everybody, feeling the pressure to people please, feeling the pressure to be like a doll on a pedestal. They even dressed me up as a doll. I remember my mom used to buy me like lacquered shoes and like really pretty dresses and bows. I hate bows. I cannot tell you how much I despise bows. I have like an intrinsic, oh, like the anger swells up inside of me when I see bows. Oh. And I think it's because of that reason, because I really wanted to just run around. I wanted to play with dinosaurs and trains. And remarkably, I'm not a lesbian. Unfortunately, I know that some people would say that these are traits of you growing into being a lesbian. There's nothing wrong with being a lesbian. I just didn't grow up in that. So I don't understand where this cliche comes from. You can be heterosexual and a girl that loves men and loves dinosaurs and trains and computer games and sci-fi novels. It's fine. I'm the living example of that. And yeah, I just wanted to do a lot of like wild things. Like, I wanted to climb trees. I was very energetic as a child, but they were putting me in all of these tight clothes that were uncomfortable. They looked pretty, they were very pretty indeed, but it was just so uncomfortable. And there was always this wild energy that wanted to come out of me. I wanted to live freely by myself, according to my own rules. And here I am today. So I'm telling you this really long, convoluted story in order to help you understand that here I am today, fulfilling my destiny, this North Node in Aries energy, which is about spending a lot of time alone. And it is about organizing my own schedule, being my own boss, being responsible 100% for what happens to me. There's a lot of pressure when you live by yourself, because you always need to remember where you put your keys. If you lose your keys, there's nobody that you can turn to. You need to learn a lot of things. You need to learn a lot of things about the environment in which you live, because if a light bulb explodes or if your kitchen gets flooded, you need to either ask for help or repair it yourself. And I have my sun in the 5th house, which is the house of Leo, and it's also the house of skills. So I'm expressing myself by learning a lot of things that help me cope with everyday reality, everyday administration, Jupiter in the 6th house, where my North Node is. And at the same time, I'm also kind of like needing to enjoy my own company, needing to feel comfortable with being myself, with the things I love, with doing the things I love. After my father died, I felt a lot of fear and I couldn't recognize myself anymore. I was just like, what's going on? I normally love being alone. I love being by myself. I'm creative. I always do things when I'm by myself. I enjoy being by myself because that means I get time to think. I get time to listen to my inner voice. I can plan. I can organize myself without distractions. When there's another person next to me, I always get kind of like focused on them and I forget about myself. which is something I'm working out with my therapist in our interaction, because I'm learning about healthy interdependence right now, having grown up with so much codependency with my parents. But yeah, what I wanted to say is that you don't realize when you are under the spell of a mental health issue. You don't know it. You're not aware of it. I was having a neurotic attachment to my father's death, and I wasn't aware of it. All I knew was that everything that I loved doing, even brushing my teeth in the morning, it's weird, but I really love brushing my teeth. I love in general to be very clean. I love to smell good. I love to just clean my body, you know? It makes me feel just comfortable. And even those things were difficult for me. It was difficult to get out of bed. It was difficult to drink coffee and enjoy my daily coffee. It was difficult to brush my teeth. It was difficult to paint, to do tarot. It was difficult to read tarot. I just couldn't look at the cards. Nothing was working out. And then I realized I was not mentally healthy. And that was the reason why everything that used to make me happy was faltering. So it's interesting because as I am treating myself, now I have a therapist. I had some sessions with a psychiatrist. I'm taking some medication. I'm trying not to exaggerate. I also like to, because, you know, even as a patient, you are in control. You need to remember that. You don't just go to a therapist or to a psychiatrist and you take whatever they give you. You can talk and negotiate with these professionals. You can tell them what you feel. And if they give you certain things and certain dosage, it's still up to you to go and buy the medicine, or at least that's how the system works here. And you can decide, you know, I was in the pharmacy and I was thinking, I'm going to buy this and this. I'm not going to get this. I don't need this, you know, or I'm only going to take this in smaller bits than what my psychiatrist prescribed. Or I'm going to take a break, you know, I'm only going to take this pill for 4 days because that's how much I feel it may help me. And then I'm going to stop. And I know people in general should be careful. You don't want to be too, you know, rebellious with what the doctor prescribes to you. But it's important when you are a person that worked a lifetime to have a good relationship to yourself and to your body. It's important to continue to listen to that inner voice and inner guidance. Because in the first 2 weeks when I was in shock after my father's death, I was just trying to escape the feeling, escape the pain. I was like, no, I don't want this, you know, just, I hate this. I don't want to feel like this. So I was just taking random medicine. I was drinking a lot of wine, just trying to blank out, you know, everything. But that's not the path towards healing. The path towards healing is different and more complicated. And yeah, I encountered the YouTube channel, The Mindful Gardener. I think I talked about this in a previous one, in which it was a lot about allowing the pain to come through you, allowing your emotions. And now every time when I have a flare up, when I get angry or I get sad, I am just instantly conscious. It's like, okay, this is it. This is a flare up. Allow. Don't medicate. Don't run away. Don't use a substance to try to dissociate. Okay, feel it. It will go away. It's a cloud. And yeah, I just wanted to share these things with you guys because I have a feeling it may help some people in the future, in the present. I don't know. I wish that people would have told me just how much your body hurts after you lose a loved one. You have this pain that just travels. It starts from your feet, it moves to your knees, it moves to your chest, in your shoulders, in your back, in your head. You get sudden headaches, splintering headaches, or like somebody's putting like their foot on your head. And then it travels. It's like as soon as it stopped in one part of your body, it goes to your throat, you know, and you can't breathe, or it goes to your chest and you feel this heaviness, or it travels to even like even this part, your elbow, you know, my elbows were creaking a couple of days ago. It's also because I'm getting older, you know, I'm starting to feel the weather through my body. Yeah, right. So it's a combination of factors. I'm during my midlife crisis, which is something that naturally happens in between the ages of 38 and 42. I am getting older and becoming more aware of mortality and old age, and the fact that my body is starting to only be able to do certain things, and I have to be kinder and softer with it. And also dealing with loss. Normally this loss shouldn't come so early, but it happened as it had to happen, and I'm trusting divine guidance. I can give you another example of how divine guidance helped me in this period, and then I will shut up and talk about your situation, guys. I'm also going to read some of your beautiful comments, but keep talking, keep having this conversation, even as I'm like going on the stream of consciousness. As I said, I feel very called to share these things with you guys because I think it's important. More and more of us are living alone. More and more of us are losing people because of wars and conflicts and famine and difficult weather phenomena and increased crime. So because of these things, I think it's important to talk about these aspects. I think it's important to be brave and to share this part of myself also, because I've been discussing with my therapist and she keeps advising me to be vulnerable. Another thing I wanted to share with you guys is that sometimes, what happened to me when I was in Transylvania, I saw my shadow in a relative, if that is possible. I had the weirdest sensation in the world. Like, I don't know, like something was reorganizing itself in my cells. Do you know? Let me give you an example of how this feeling comes over me. Do you know Mystique in X-Men? Yeah, the character played by Hailey Berry. Hailey Berry? I think that's her name. She's a Leo Sun. Give me a second because I have my laptop here. I think she was played by Rebecca Romaine Stamos initially, and then I think she was played by. Oh, she was also played by Jennifer Lawrence, of course. I haven't seen those movies though. I think I only saw the one with Rebecca Romaine, and I really loved her Mystique form. Anyway, because she has that blue suit, and you know how those scales form on her body, and then she descales. You know, that's how I feel when I'm having these moments of awareness lately. When my father died, and I felt this pain suddenly erupt in my whole body. It was like that. It was like my whole body was transforming. It was having scales on it. I can't put it into words. It's so difficult. Another example would be, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Alistair Gray. He wrote a novel called Lanark, and I find it's much more interesting than Poor Things. I know that Poor Things got a lot of Oscars, and it's a gorgeous movie by Yorgos Lanthimos, but I highly recommend that you guys read Lanark. Lanark is 10 times better. And in the novel, there is this character who keeps going through life. He has relationship. He is an art student. He's trying to make it in an increasingly depressive and competitive society where he struggles with a lot of the personal connections. He struggles with love. He struggles with being vulnerable, with opening up. And whenever he's overwhelmed by certain emotions, there is this character that appears. It's like a part of his body becomes like that of a dragon. When he tries to become stoic instead of being vulnerable, he develops like dragon scales all over his body. And if I remember correctly, when I was reading the book, there was a really touching scene in which he is in love with a woman called Morag. And Morag is trying so much to keep him not become this dragon monster. But he keeps refusing to be vulnerable. So he's starting to lose his humanity. He's starting to lose by being so stubborn in not showing feelings and being stoic and keeping the pain inside and not sharing the pain with other people. And Alistair Gray, he was a Capricorn sun. I love him because he was a very slow artist. He used to drive his publishers crazy because he would say, I will get the book finished in 5 years, and he would take 10 years to finish it. And the reason why he took 10 years is because he was a bit of a control freak. He not only created the story, and he had a wonderful imagination. High vibrational high vibrational Capricorns usually have a wonderful imagination. But he would also design the decorations, the drawing, the etchings, and he would put so much effort into it. And I'm so happy that he rebelled against the publishers and he took his sweet time, because the end result is phenomenal. Like, you get a whole experience with his books, and he's one of my all-time favorite Scottish creators, you know. Anyway, coming back, this metaphor of your skin transforming when you have this awareness, because that's where I started from. It's interesting because you see it in X-Men, you see it in Lanark, and I felt it. That's the only way I could describe, by referencing my emotional states to culture, to literature, to movies, books, songs. That's how I express myself. That's how I learned how to emote through these things, through these cultural artifacts. And I use them as well. When I write something, I use it to emotionally connect with other people. And it's interesting because what I wanted to say is that I went and I saw my aunt. My aunt doesn't have a good relationship to my mother. And I see that we're repeating a family pattern here, because I just posted a photo of me when I was little on my first day of school on Instagram. And many of you weren't aware that I have a sibling. I do have a sibling. I have a sister. She's 4 years younger than me. We used to be very close, but I think we were close because we were kind of forced to be close, because we lived in the same room for about 20 years, because we were poor and crowded. And yeah, we had an argument like in 2019, and since then it was such a stupid argument, and it was something that bothered me. But now she's not talking to me. Instead of, like, you know, it's kind of this culture, like, instead of apologizing, an Eastern European person would rather not talk to you at all, completely. Like, Eastern Europeans would rather cut you off than say thank you and I'm sorry. It's a very toxic culture from that point of view. And you see it very often in families. In families, you never hear these words, you know, you rarely hear, I love you, I'm sorry, thank you. It's kind of assumed, you know, it's like you're blood of my blood, flesh of my flesh. Of course, these things are understood somehow. And yeah, I'm seeing this pattern being repeated. My mother doesn't talk to her sister. I don't talk to my sister, not because I don't want to, but it's because, you know, I'm blocked, I'm cut off. And I saw my aunt, and the way she was, like, she clearly has an undiagnosed mental health problem. And nobody in the family kind of helped her get support. And she refuses to get support. She has this neurotic defense, which is blocking her from truly understanding that she needs help. And the problem is that she was so broken by the experiences that happened in her life, and nobody should have to go through what she went. Horrible things. And the problem is that right now she has this disgust towards fragility, vulnerability. It's like she's constantly rushing people, constantly giving them orders. She doesn't have patience, like this issue of rushing others and not having patience and not being vulnerable. It's a big, big family problem with us. And I saw her, and she is the eldest sister, like myself. And I looked at her and I was like, I have to do something about how tough I am with myself, because if I don't do something, I'm going to end up like that. It was like seeing my shadow. It was like seeing exactly what I don't want to become. And I know it may sound very harsh. I don't want to criticize my aunt. I understand her. And when I was there, I was very focused on, I want us to have an understanding of each other. I want to see you. I want to acknowledge you. I'm doing my best. I came here for you, to see you, because I want to stop with the pattern. I'm not doing this for anybody in my family, because my psychiatrist was like, oh, you want to rescue everybody, right? Well, that's a recipe to disappointment again, and you're going to fall flat on your face and you're going to cry and you're going to be brokenhearted again. No, I'm doing this for me selfishly. I'm doing this because I want to experience something different. I don't want to be under the control of my unconscious like a puppet, like, ha ha ha, I'm going to get you to repeat all the mistakes of your family, ha ha ha. I'm studying, I'm honoring my ancestors, I'm trying to learn from their lives, I'm trying to understand who they were. And it's difficult because my cats are running around. It's difficult because in the absence of them as human beings, I have to use my imagination. I'm trying to gather birth dates, death dates. I'm trying to gather information related to their astrological placements as well. I'm trying to gather photos, stories. I'm trying to piece together those people that were so available to me when I was little but unconscious. And now that I really need them and I'm conscious and I'm here, they're not here anymore. It's, yeah, life has a funny way of working like this. But I definitely feel like we can break patterns. And I don't know if necessarily that's the correct use of language. I don't know if we should break the patterns as much as become aware of them, accept that this is happening in the family. Like one big theme in my family is materialism over and above spirituality. Ruthless independence over and above forgiveness and vulnerable interdependence, right? Asking each other for help, accepting each other's problems. All of these things are so prevalent. I see them so clearly. It's like I'm so grateful to Saturn and Pisces for drilling me in the last 2 years to develop my sensitivity. It was very difficult. But I'm so happy because my intuition is now like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I can perceive a person, like I walk down the street and I can feel that that person wants to bump into me like a kilometer away from them. I cannot put it into words. It's like my mother has this as well because she's quite sensitive. She was born with the Saturn and Pisces. My mother was telling me, like, I'm in the bus and I turn my head to look at the person that has been staring at me with such intensity that I could feel it in my chest. So you don't even see the person, but just they're staring at you, you can feel it from your back into your chest, like laser eyes, laser concentration. That person hates you with a passion or envies you with a passion or wants you so intensely. You just like feel invaded. And this has been Saturn and Pisces collectively. We've been having issues with setting boundaries. We've been incredibly sensitive. It's the age of unreason, I would say. That's why more reasonable, logical signs like Aquarians, Libras, I would say even Taurians to a large extent, they've been having issues coping with Aries and Pisces energies. We've been stuck in these two signs that are incredibly impulsive, emotional, and very much led by their intuition, by what they like instinctively rather than objective communication, detachment, right? Because if you look at the world in 2020 and 2021, when we had so much Saturn energy, right? So many boundaries, it was Capricorn, Aquarius vibe. You felt like you could rely on something. That's the good part of all that discipline, all those boundaries. But now, since we've been having this plethora of planets, Jupiter, Saturn, the North nodes, Neptune, switching back and forth across Pisces and Aries, they brought up the best qualities in these two signs, right? The creativity, the open-heartedness, but at the same time, the spirituality, this obsession with, religion, intuition, creativity, art. But at the same time, they brought up also the negative traits. That's why we see so much extremism, like people not acting on what they know that they should be doing that is correct. They're acting on what they want to do, not having these boundaries. It's like prioritizing ourselves to such an extent that we forget that we live in society with other people and that we should be aware of their hurt and their pain. So yeah, I feel that it's important to look at your relatives because they may represent your shadow. That relative that you despise, that you don't want to talk to, that you hate, that's your shadow. They are the living, walking, and talking embodiment of the ghost that you don't want to become. And it's important to have compassion for them and accept them, because then you also integrate parts of yourself that could be helpful in getting you to have more meaningful, better relationships. I also see a crisis of confidence brought about by Saturn in Aries. A lot of you are coming to me lately, for personal readings with, I feel so much fear. I don't know what's coming up, what's going to happen to me in the next 6 months. The future is awful. It seems bleak. I don't want to think about it. It gives me belly aches and anxiety. But like the work that we did together as a collective in the last 5 years was all about coming into your own and understanding you're a powerful creator, you're a powerful manifester. But that enthusiasm and that exuberance that we all had seems to have been lost. It's like we dissolved it somehow due to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction, under whose spell we have been for such a long period of time. And it will pick up pace again in February of next year for a couple of months, and then we will be done with it finally. So that's why I'm saying that 2027, 2028, they're going to be better years than what we're experiencing at the moment. These are the crucial points. This is it. This is the pit. We are in the pit. We are in the gallows. We are in the slum. We fell through a crack in the ground, and now we have to find a way to push ourselves up. And the stairs are broken, and we have to rebuild them. And there's no rope. We're calling for help. Nobody knows that we have fallen into a pit. Yeah, you can use whatever metaphors you want. I'm just using the metaphors that I had experienced today. I played nightmare frames in the morning, and there was an experience where one of the characters falls into a pit and they don't know that. Yeah, they can't communicate about that. But yeah, we're in the sewers at the moment, basically. And we're waiting for the teenage mutant ninjas to come and rescue us, or we can create them. Sorry, I'm going to stop with the weird metaphors. But I just want you to know that better times are coming, better times are possible. And when you freak out and you feel, I don't know what my life is going to be 6 months from now, yes, it's perfectly understandable. It's reasonable to be afraid when you think of the future because it's the great unknown. But remind yourself that you build your future in the present. You create your future in the present. You can plan ahead, at least for the next first or second week, and then you'll see how life is going to flow. What I wanted to tell you as a sign of divine organization and trusting that the divine is holding you and protecting you, I am going to undergo surgery next week on my nose. It's not going to be a rhinoplasty or anything like that. I love my nose. It's my family nose, and I'm going to keep it. But I'm having issues breathing only with one nostril. And this has been giving me anxiety attacks, interrupting my sleep, giving me belly aches as well, because I don't breathe as well as I should be. So I'm going to have like a minor invasive surgery on one of my left nostrils so I can breathe better, which means that you may see my hands more than my face in the coming period, at least in the coming 2 weeks. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how painful it's going to be to recover, but it's very hot outside. I hope the recovery is going to be fast, but we will see. And I initially had the surgery scheduled for the 25th of July. It's a long waiting list. I was really lucky to find this doctor. She's very busy. And she gave me the surgery date, and I was like very grateful. I was like, oh my God, yes, finally. And then I looked at the calendar and I was like, oh no, the 25th of July is one day after the new moon, And as you guys know, the general rule with lunar cycle issues is never get surgery on the day of the new moon or on the day of the full moon, plus and minus 1 day around them. So there is a period of like 3 days each month when you should be careful about scheduling surgeries. Yeah. Obviously, events around the new moon are not going to be as dramatic as events around a full moon when the energy is super powerful and you can bleed the most because of increased circulation and heart rate. So I was a little bit like, okay, it's on the 25th. It's not ideal, but I finally got this appointment. I'm not going to change it right now. And then guess what happened? She called me, this doctor, and she said, I need to go to a conference. I forgot that I was signed up. I need to travel on the 24th and 25th. Can we reschedule for the 29th? And I was like, thank you. You know, I was so happy and I felt so blessed because it just, you know, the divine helped me out. You know, I felt like, ooh, I'm taking a risk. And then the divine intervened. And now I'm having the surgery on the 29th, which is perfect because as the energy of the moon is growing, that means that events are going to naturally fall into place. And there is a lesser likelihood of the operation not going well, of my body reacting in weird ways, you know? So when you least expect it, if you maintain your intention and you maintain trust, things will turn out for the better. You have to have that faith of holding that space, right? Because I wasn't aware that this small little thing that would benefit me was in the works. It could have happened, it could have not happened. But I didn't worry or dwell on it or make myself sick by thinking, oh my God, I have surgery on the 25th. I could die. This is a no-no. I shouldn't have done this. Why? Why me? No, I was just like, okay, it's going to be a bit tricky. I'm going to take a risk. We will see what happens. I trust. Yeah? And then things reorganized themselves in such a way that my trust was in some way rewarded. Yeah. And it's the same with buying tickets to go on a train or finding the right moment for a number of things in our lives, right? That's why astrology is so magical, but it's astrology in combination with faith. I feel like these two are so important and so necessary. And of course, it's also us as the computer, right? Our minds should work with us and not against us. Your mind is the one that sends signals to your body. If your mind is constantly poisoned, toxic, it will poison your body. And not only your body, but everyone around you. Keep your mind as like a good navigator, right? You want it to show you the correct path. You want it to show you the shortcuts. You want it to lead you to a destination safely. Just like you would get into a car and put an address into your Navigon and the Navigon starts talking to you. So your mind is your best friend. When you say, I'm afraid of what may happen 6 months from now, you're saying, I don't trust my mind. I don't trust God. I am going to be overwhelmed by whatever distractions are plaguing me and haunting me in the present. How about if you tell yourself, I'm going to figure it out. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to work out somehow. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get the solution. God is going to show me the way. Angels will help me. My ancestors stand by my side. They always protect me. It's exactly what they're going to do up until this point. And let this inner voice guide you in this way up until the moment when it's time for you to depart. Because that's the thing. It's like we all are afraid that something bad will happen to us. But like the worst thing that could happen to you is death. Obviously, there are other things that can be equally painful and horrible. But what I'm trying to say is that there is no point in living in a constant state of fear and aversion to risk and trapping yourself in worry, and unless you are actually confronted with something dangerous, like this preparatory fear that we all have. is such a drain, and it's decreasing our life quality, and it's affecting our relationship, and it's like this dark cloud of smoke and nastiness that we ooze through our body, and it's getting us to self-soothe, to medicate, to do all sorts of things to ourselves, you know, because of we are afraid of what may come, right? So working against this preparatory fear and just being like, whatever happens, happens, you know, I'm just going to live my life, enjoy it. Even if other people don't want to feel good, I'm going to feel good for myself. I'm going to make decisions that help me grow and that help me organize myself in a way that feels good for me, you know? And this can be applied to a variety of things, like your body, right? Like, love your body as it is. I put on weight after the stressors of this year, after losing my apartment. And I didn't actually lose it, I sold it. But to me, this felt like a big loss. Losing that security, I guess. That was a stressor for me. Losing my dad was a stressor as well. But being compassionate with the fact that you're going through a lot, honey, you know, I was telling myself these things. It's like, you're going through a lot. It's okay. You ate cake. You ate a lot of chocolate. You had a couple more beers than you should have had. It's okay. You're coping. You're finding a way to cope. It's not bad. It's not good. You're just coping. We are going to get out of this. It's temporary. This is not you. You are not your cake. You are not your beer. You are not your medication. You are not your trauma. You are not your loss. This is temporary. It's like a cloud that came into your kingdom, and you're fighting with all your might to push it away. Yeah. And telling myself this each morning helped me to do those things I found it so hard to do. And I am sharing some of these things here with you because I received some messages on Instagram in which some people were telling me, could you talk about mental health, right? Could you talk about how you're overcoming things? I don't think you should see mental health as something you overcome. It is a byproduct of capitalism. We live in the system. It will affect us all at some point in time. Loss, death, problems are part of life. You don't have to overcome them. You live them. You experience them. Give yourself everything you need to experience them. And don't judge yourself so harshly when you do. Because we are judging ourselves and other people when we are trying to cope with harshness, that's why we are making the situation 10 times worse. I saw it with my mother when I was growing up. My mother, unfortunately, and myself, we have this very toxic dynamic whereby if I go and tell her something that I'm worried about or something difficult that has happened to me, she amplifies my fear. She amplifies my anger. She amplifies, it's like she's an echo, you know, for what I'm going through. Instead of calming it down, instead of falling into this comforting mother role, she doesn't know how to do that because she was poorly mothered herself. Her mother did the same thing with her. So I notice these patterns, and I'm trying my best to deal with this by reaching those people that I know will not amplify my states, like my therapist or a friend, right? Or doing something that I know can put me a little bit on a balanced level. Don't go to those people that enable you or amplify you or get you to cut off again. Don't do those things that harm. Okay, the period in which you're recovering should be all about lessening harm. And self-harm isn't just about, you know what I mean. It's not just about the physical aspect of wounding yourself. It's also about emotionally and psychologically. We sometimes wound ourselves by going back to those people that keep demeaning us, degrading us, amplifying our worst fears, are putting us back into that shadow landscape, nightmarish things, because nightmares come from deep, intense emotions that we can't find a way to express, so they get sucked up into our unconscious and they keep bothering us until we find a way to face them. So I think it's important to be very, very loving, very soft. Like, you think you're soft, get even softer. And don't, I know it's hard because, you know, I just went to do my groceries earlier today and I could see such tough faces, you know, such, I don't know, it's not cruelty, but it's like people that just have hardened. A lot of people have been hardening, you know. And it does make me feel like I should harden as well, you know, because we are adaptive creatures. We adapt to our environment in order to survive. But that's just the basic form of survival. We have consciousness, right? So the important thing that I think is, and this is something I like to do, maybe because I have a Venus in Aquarius, and I really love this rebellious part of myself. It's not very loudly rebellious, but it's kind of like little rebellious. I like to do what the majority doesn't like. If I see that the majority is extremist, I like to be balanced, you know? If I see that the majority is rough and tough, I like to be soft and vulnerable. If I see that other people are too soft and too wishy-washy, I like to be tough. And right now, when I see that society is so hardened, I just feel the need to just get softer and softer, you know, and it's so important to reach that part of ourselves that is softer and softer. So when in doubt, just be soft. Just be soft and trusting and yielding. Because the only thing that kind of hardens inside of us is our ego. And that's the kind of more difficult aspect of Saturn and Aries, this ego, this me first attitude, this I'll reach my goals by walking on other people's heads, this Machiavellian philosophy, right? What you don't, like, you reach a goal and then what? I used to live this life in which I had goals and I was so focused on those goals that I would alienate my relationships because I just needed to achieve that goal to give myself a hit of self-worth because my self-worth was so at the bottom. And as I'm gradually becoming more conscious of this attitude, by having reached a lot of important goals and then being left without people in my life, wondering like, okay, I reached that goal and now what do I do with all this abundance, with all this awards, acclaim? What do I do with them? I have nobody to share them with. Because the important thing was not getting to that outcome. It wasn't getting that job or that PhD or getting married and being like, ah. The important thing is maintaining these things. That's the hardest part. And we don't talk enough about maintaining things. It's not just about having a baby, it's about raising that baby. It's not just about getting married, it's about maintaining that relationship. It's not just about getting a PhD, it's about finding a job in that field and really holding on to it, you know? And if we don't fall in love with the journey, we're going to self-sabotage ourselves massively because we're so focused on the goal. You achieve the goal, and then what? What is the purpose of your life after you achieved all the goals that society wanted you to achieve? What are you going to do then? And that's the middle life crisis. That's the moment when you're like, ah, you know, I've been through everything, I've done everything. Now what? Well, the important thing is coming back to this process. The process matters. The maintenance matters more than the goal, more than the end result. Right? Carry water, chop wood. The Zen koan Buddhist saying, right? That's the important aspect. Do these things that preserve life, that maintain life. Live in harmony with yourself and with the divine. Do things that are pleasurable, enjoyable. Trust, right? And I'm going to stop here because I feel like I've been a little bit too intense about this. Let's see your comments go, guys. Thank you, guys. I know a lot of you are like a fast recovery. Thank you so much, but I don't want to get rid of this state. That's the whole purpose. I enjoy this breakdown. This breakdown is helping me become who I am. I think if I didn't have this breakdown, it would have been worse. I would have continued repeating the same family patterns, same mistakes. The pain is educational to a large extent. When I was going through it, I wasn't able to have this perspective. This perspective comes to you after the intensity of the feelings diminishes. That's why when you're going through pain and heartbreak, you cannot reason about it. You get pissed off by people telling you that you should do this, you should do that, you know. No, all you need to do when you're going through the pain is feel it, you know. Just like when you're out and having fun, you just want to experience fun and pleasure and joy, right? You don't want to think about, I need to do this and that, you know. It's the same with pain. It's the same with depression. It's the same with obsession, with all sorts of things, you know. You just have to feel them. And the lesson and the integration and the wisdom comes after the intensity of the emotion has diminished. Yeah. I love your perspective on this. I will apply it on my own shit show. Hallelujah. Yeah, Libra vibes. Yeah, having Venus like a balance. Exactly. Everything you did to survive was good. And that's the same for you guys. Everything you do to survive is good, you know? And as I said, try not to overcome things all the time. You're not a mountain goat. You're not supposed to climb on top of a mountain. You are a human being. You have a nervous system, and that your relationship to that nervous system needs to be kinder and gentler. Yeah. Or at least that's what I'm learning at the moment. Feel free to completely disagree with me as well, you know. Good night, Penny. So a couple of you are actually, yeah, because you're living on the other side of the world. Oh my goodness. Let's try to answer some questions, right? So I know it's not a lot of us, and I know I've been going on this rant tangent. Um, can you share, guys, in the chat, where is this new moon taking place? In what part of your chart is it taking place? For example, for me, it's in the 10th house. And I really wanted to have like dramatic makeup today to kind of vibe with this Leo energy. My Mercury is in Pisces, and it is in the 5th house. And I have, sorry, I had to expel air. I have a square to my moon, Mercury square moon, which makes me incredibly fearful and worrier, like a lifetime of worry. I worry a lot very easily. And it is also trine Pluto and Scorpio. And I love that aspect. The fact that I have a Mercury trine Pluto really makes my Mercury in Pisces, it gives psychological depth to it. It helps me be more analytical than other Pisces Mercuries. Because, you know, Mercury in Pisces can be a little bit wishy-washy, right? Hard to, very creative, very imaginative, very empathetic. But Mercury in Pisces can struggle with written forms, you know, and with education in general. Ratul Arts, I have no idea. Guys, I really enjoy the fact that I don't know where my phone is at the moment, where I left it, but lately I've been using Gemini, the AI from Google, and I've been talking to Gemini. For some reason, my Gemini is set to the voice of a very uppity Englishman. Like he speaks with, "Hello, can I help you with something? Thank you, Alexandra. What would you like me to do for you today?" And I feel like I'm in some sort of parlor in London, and I'm talking to a very refined young butler. I don't know why I have that voice, but he's very fun, and I've been using it to generate some banners. I was just very curious. And it's also been helping me with pulling up birth charts. Like instead of typing and doing all the work, for example, for Tom Jones, I was just like, Gemini, please help me with Tom Jones' birth chart, natal placements, ascendant, you know. You can even ask it for the chart of the day. But I think in terms of your birthday, you have to input your birth data. Yeah. ChatGPT is my unpaid therapist. Yeah, you can have really cool conversations with AI. I love the fact that mine is so polite. I really love polite people in general. That's why I really enjoyed living in the UK, because they have this culture of politeness. And I just love people who say please, thank you, you are welcomed. All these things just really, they give me psychological comfort. Um, I hate it when people are too direct. When they're too direct and brisk, it's like, oh, it gets me like, you know. But that's a Libra thing. That's 100% is my Libra ascendant, 100%. Okay, so do you guys want to ask questions? Do you want us to do mini reads, or should we leave these for the full moon 2 weeks from now? Because we can have like confessional new moon sessions and mini reads for full moons. Should we do that maybe? I'm just going to pull a card for the whole collective. What can the new moon in Leo show us? Yeah, it's 11 minutes past 1 hour since we started this. So let's see. Oh, we got 2 cards. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. So we got here. Do you guys see it? Yeah. Gonna put them under the lamp. I feel like I am the hermit, carrying my lamp, talking to you about the pleasures of being alone. Anyway, yeah, we have here the Emperor. Yeah, this really beautiful white fat cat. Oh, I love him. And the Emperor is Aries energy. I'm kind of reminded, Leo, New Moon and Leo and Aries energy. Charlie XCX got married, I think on the 17th or 18th of July. And I talked about this on the Spiritual Cosmos. And she's a Leo sun, so her birthday is coming up soon. And she got married to the drummer from 1975, the rock band. And he is an Aries. So it's kind of like a marriage, a marriage indicated by these tarot cards as well. But the Emperor is all about confidence, coming into your own, yeah? Reclaiming your authority. The Emperor is the father and the lover that you've always wanted to have, but you never could find it in another person, so you became it. It's that expression that Cher had. It's like, Mama was asking me when I'm going to find a really successful, rich man. And Cher replied, oh, Mama, I am that successful and rich man. And it's that kind of vibe. This is the Emperor, yeah. Whether you're male or female, Aries or non-Aries, the Emperor is about, I have everything that it takes to lead my life with courage and confidence. I know what I want to do. I have the mental resources. I have the emotional strength. I have the action plan, and I have as well the finances, right? I know that I can handle money, so money comes my way. I know that I am able to handle wealth, so wealth comes my way, yeah? How often do you tell yourself, I'm good with money? Be honest right now. How often do you tell yourself? Or do you tell yourself, I keep spending, or I don't know what I'm going to do? Like if you keep imbuing this energy with fear, that's what's going to come up in your reality over and over again. Time and time again, the more power you give to fear, the more fear has you in its clutch. The more you Shaolin master your way through this energy and you just tell her, no, 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 the more you become the Emperor. Yeah. So catch yourselves when you feel fear. And remember, fear is Saturn. Fear is Saturn energy incarnate. You guys know that Saturn is also associated with the devil. So punch the devil in the face. Whenever you feel this fear, just remind yourself, fear is an illusion. Fear is the mind killer, right? What they were saying in June. And the other card that we got the Death card, but don't worry, because it didn't arrive upright. I just flipped it in this way. But this very elegant looking cat skull, which reminds me of the paintings of Georgia O'Keeffe, the American painter. This is about transformation that has been in some way delayed. Yeah. A transformation that is put on pause. And this is because we have 4 planets retrograde at the moment, Mercury being the most personal planet that we have retrograde, affecting us the deepest. And the other ones, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Uranus as well. No, Uranus is in Gemini. I don't think it began its retrograde yet. But it will, because it will slide back into Taurus throughout fall and winter. These energies are basically more collective vibes, like political revisions, changes in laws, changes in news media information. Yeah. So, salute. Yeah, my cats are very gentle. They're very well behaved. Like, they're sleeping in corners, and I think it's because I put the AC on and they're just enjoying a chill time. But yeah, like, one of the things that I have been incredibly proud of this week has been the fact that my cats are coming to sleep with me in the same bed. I really like to have them close, but because of the heat, obviously they were looking for places that were a bit cooler and shadier than my bed. And it just made me miss them. You know, in the summertime, I always suffer from the separation anxiety from my cats because they all hide in corners or they sleep on the tiles in the hallway because it's cooler, of course, and they need to refreshen their paws. But wintertime is the best, because in wintertime they all snuggle up and they push their heads in my feet and in my face, you know, like I wake up with their butts in my face. And it just makes me so happy, you know. It's like, this small thing makes me so happy. Like, I try to focus on what makes me happy, what gives me pleasure. Other things, like having to pay rent, or I'm not getting as many orders as I used to. How will I pay my taxes? Will I have to shut down my business next year? I have those thoughts as well, guys. But worse hasn't come to pass. Those things have not materialized, and I don't want them to materialize. I want the other outcome. You know, I will have abundant money. Everything is just temporarily in a state of diminishment. It will grow back again. Yeah. And I keep thinking about the positive outcome. So when I catch myself in that hole, I don't try to force myself to, like, be super positive. I just try to change the thought. It's like, why think of the worst when the worst hasn't happened? It's not a fact. Don't believe an illusion. Believe the fact that since it's out there, it hasn't manifested yet. Why not think about the positive outcome? Maybe somebody's just going to give me a lot of money, all like that, overnight. I am worth a lot of money. I can certainly handle a lot of money. Maybe somebody is going to help me acquire a house overnight. Maybe the conditions are going to fall into place. Maybe I will have money to pay my rent and take a trip to that place that I really want to go to, you know? Maybe, in spite of the fact that gender relations are, I don't have an adjective for what men and women are doing to themselves at the moment. And of course, the many in-betweeners that are suffering from these gender divisions. But it is difficult, to put it mildly. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that you can't fall in love, right? You can fall in love anytime, at any moment, and not just with a sexual partner, but with other things in life. So thinking about these things in this way, I think this is basically the positive energy of the Death card, right? Transmuting pain into pleasure and wisdom, transmuting fear into something meaningful, something that motivates you rather than keeps you locked away. If you go through a period in your life when you feel the need to be removed from society, that's okay. Take that time. If you go through a period when you feel the need to reach out to people and socialize, do that. The problem is when we go to TikTok or blogs or YouTube and we shout at each other, why are you doing this? This is wrong. Don't do this. Do what I tell you, not what you feel like doing. That's the problem. That's where boundaries need to be drawn, right? You live your life the way you feel like you should be living it. If you need rest right now, rest and trust that things are going to fall into place again. That's why astrology is so beautiful, because we go through Jupiterian and Saturnian moments. Saturn restricts us and Jupiter gives us blessings. For example, in my life at the moment, I draw a lot of pleasure from philosophy, from traveling, while at the same time I feel very restricted in my everyday administrative situation, in my health fears, health concerns. But if you think about your astrological transits as communicating with each other, you will understand that you can find a way to resolve the issue. They're not just one is giving you something difficult and the other one is giving you something good. It's just the fact that they are somehow, they're teaching you in different ways. One is giving you instant gratification, Jupiter. Yeah. Jupiter is like, here, have it. It's free. All you have to say is yes, you know, and it will grow like mushrooms after a storm. And Saturn is like, no, delayed gratification. You have to learn that this does not come easy right now. You have not valued it. You have to learn to put a lot more effort into it and value it. Saturn also gives you a pause. It gives you a break where it touches your chart. So for example, it can separate you from a job. It can separate you from money temporarily. It can separate you from good health. It can separate you from your loved ones because it wants you to rest. It depresses you, deep rest. Yeah. And if you see it in this way, you are very good friends with Saturn and you can cooperate with this energy rather than constantly grind your teeth and say, why me? You know, and I'm saying this because I've been learning all of these things. I didn't come out of my mother's womb completely wise and intelligent. It's been a lifetime of mistakes and falling down and illnesses and so many disappointments. I haven't been completely open with all of the disappointments that I had to endure, with all of the moments of deep lack of respect I had to chew up throughout my life just in order to make it to the other side. But those moments are teaching moments. And they also teach me how not to be this kind of person that I would say despise. But yeah, we also learn from negative models, from meeting our shadows. So we can be grateful to these people that appear in our lives, that help us see our shadow, that test us, that are rude or difficult. I'm trying at the moment to be grateful for my very noisy neighbor upstairs who woke me up this morning with a drill. But I'm seeing it as a way in which I'm kind of woke up to consciousness in a very grating way, almost because life wants to push life force energy through me after a period of depression. So it's kind of like I'm trying to be grateful for that drill, because noises around me are a sign that I'm still alive. And getting angry and feeling things, it's a sign I am alive. And it's good to be alive. And I think on that note, I'm going to end this very long live stream. I think that we're going to do it this way at the moment, also because, you know, Mercury is retrograde and I try not to do too much of this kind of readings during Mercury retrograde. Normally Mercury retrograde should be, periods in which we just go on holiday. We take some time off, you know. But obviously I'm not doing this completely. I just think that maybe at the next full moon, which will be a full moon in Aquarius, if I'm not mistaken. Let's check AstroSeek very quickly. It's going to take place 2 weeks from now, so I think we will be out of the Mercury retrograde by then. Whenever I type AstroSeek, it leads me to this page that looks very dubious. I do want to thank you guys for being here tonight, for bearing with me. It's a process. I know I've changed quite significantly from the way in which this channel used to be, and it will continue to change, I guess. One thing that I feel unable to do at the moment, and you guys have been requesting, and I'm really sorry that I'm not able to honor it, has been doing rose petals energy readings. And part of the reason why I don't want to do them is because I am incredibly disappointed. I have been disappointed for a very long period of time because a lot of people stole that idea without crediting me, and their channels blew up based on writing that idea. And I just felt kind of undervalued, you know. I felt like used and undervalued. And it triggered a very deep issue, a very deep wound in me. So it's kind of tinging the experience in this way, because whenever I do a rose petal reading, I feel very low, you know. So I don't want to put out there this low energy, right? Okay, the next full moon is going to take place on the 9th of August, and it's going to be in Aquarius. It will affect our calves, ankle, shins, and our Achilles tendon. So be careful with this part of the body. Yeah, this part of the body. Be very careful with it. We will still be under the Mercury retrograde. The Mercury retrograde finishes on the 11th, and the full moon in Aquarius will be on the 9th. Okay, so we'll see how this goes. I hope my healing will be completed by then. As I said, I'm getting surgery, so I don't know. It's not something very complex. It's not something very dangerous. It shouldn't normally take too long to heal, but we will see, right? We will see how it goes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being your kind, sweet, most present selves. Thank you so much for the gifts. I'm looking forward to creating more readings for you guys. Now that the moon is growing, I'll be showing up a bit more on the spiritual social. I already have it planned to film a reading tonight. I may be doing a bit more messages related to lost loved ones, ancestors, things that happen beyond the veil. I feel like lately my role from light worker has been enhanced by my kind of developing role as a shadow walker as well. I feel like I'm more of a shadow walker at the moment than I am a light worker. I may write about this experience on the spiritual social so that I can kind of define what these things mean. But thank you so much. Good luck, Ashley, on training. That's wonderful. Go, Ashley. Thank you, Ratul. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, NTM Station. Thank you, Nayara. Thank you, Simran. Thank you, Penny. You guys are awesome. I love you so much. Thank you, Haley. NGS. Yeah, you guys are awesome. I love you so much. I can't get enough of telling you guys that. And I hope this helps. Happy new moon. I hope that you guys have written your intentions, your affirmations. It's really important. Please hold on to that. And with this in mind, I cannot wait to see you next time. Okay, take care and stay soft if you want to.